So now we are going to be looking at the siege of Emesa, from the early Muslim expansion series by Kings and Generals. Yesterday we looked at Battle of Pella, another Muslim victory. So let's see if the Muslims can keep pressing their advantage and, do well in the siege.
And south, while Theodore returned to Antioch by sea. There was no army to fight back against Abu Ubaidah, so he divided his army into corps to conquer as many cities as possible. Shurabil took Baisan and then Tiberias. Afterwards, Shurabil and Amr bin al-As went south, while Abu Ubaidah and Khalid marched north. By March of
I've been really impressed by the use of the Muslim corps system. Kind of like more in the West, when we talk about the corps system, we mainly attribute it to, it's like Napoleon, right? And how he kind of changed. And granted, Napoleon didn't invent the corps system, but obviously, he's very famous, probably the most famous person to implement its use, and even afterward, war from then on was greatly utilized the corps system. But we've seen kind of it utilized even way before him, like with Alexander the Great, and now here the Muslims. Like I said, with Khalid, I see a lot of parallels to Napoleon. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of utilizing speed, maneuverability, the corps system, like, there's just so much, like, I'm getting deja vu, and I mean that as a compliment, because we all know I like Napoleon. Like, I'm a huge Napoleon glazer on this channel. Yeah, and I do miss kind of covering him with the Epic History series. All last year, 2024, was like great, a lot of Napoleon on this channel. But it's kind of just cool to see how the Muslims just adapted to war so quickly. Like, they really exploded on the scene and are kind of terrifying in terms of just how they adapted and took to war, and have just been so effective in it. And again, using their speed, maneuverability, and even this core system that they've been using for the past few videos is just beyond effective, and sort of innovative, I think. So yeah, I've just been really impressed by the Muslims in this series, and I've really loved covering them,
635, the Muslims were in control of the whole region to the south of Beirut, save for Caesarea, which withstood a siege reinforced by Heraclius, and Jerusalem, which had the strongest fortifications. Heraclius probably thought that the Muslims would be busy with the sieges, and he had some time, so he was recruiting in order to counterattack in 636. Simultaneously, an alliance with Yazdegerd was established. Heraclius married his granddaughter to the young Sassanid Shah. It was planned that the Persians would attack Muslim positions from the east.
Wow. So yeah, the Sassanids and the Romans have put their differences aside at the rise of this new threat. And it's just interesting to see these old rivals now teaming up. You know what I mean? And really trying to push back the rise of the Muslims. And I think that's just seeing that aspect play out is probably the most fascinating part of this series. You know what I mean?
Meanwhile, Abu Ubaidah's 15,000 were moving north, and by November took over the territory between Damascus and Emesa, putting this major city in danger. Heraclius rushed reinforcements, which brought the strength of the garrison commanded by Harbeiz to 8,000. In early December, the city was besieged. Harbeiz hoped that the Arabs, who weren't used to the cold, would not be able to sustain the siege for too long. At the same time, Emesa was a well-fortified city, with walls 1 mile in diameter, a moat surrounding it, and a citadel within the walls, so the defenders' situation wasn't hopeless. The Muslims weren't strong at the art of siegecraft at that point, and the lack of siege weapons made an assault impossible. So for weeks and then months,
Yeah, like, the thing is, when we covered the last siege, like the siege of Damascus and some of the others, like, the Muslims kind of utilized just starving them out, and you know, it worked effectively because, like, with Damascus, I don't think they were prepared for a siege, so it worked out that they could just go with the starving out plan. But sometimes when you come across a well-fortified and provisioned city, right, like, just starving them out, I mean, is an option, but it'll probably not that effective because of how long it'll be. So then that's where you bring in siegecraft and siege equipment, and I think I said in the Siege of Damascus video, they don't seem to have that, like with the siege towers and, you know, all that. And now finally we're at a point where it seems like they probably should have that, but they don't. You know, like, just the starving out thing won't be as easy as it was with Damascus, I'd imagine. Assuming that this place is well provisioned to last for a longer siege. And, yeah, I guess the Muslims are gonna have to start, like, kind of adapting to that, right? Getting siege equipment and, learning the art of siegecraft.
The sides did nothing but exchange arrow volleys. By March of 636, winter began to subside, and it was becoming clear that the Arab army was planning to starve the Emesans. Food supplies were getting dangerously low, so Harbiz decided to sally out and kill as many foes as possible, believing that it might end the siege. He left small units to defend the walls and concentrated more than 5,000 near the southern gates. Initially, this sortie was very successful. The Muslims were caught unprepared and were outnumbered 2 to 1, which led to hundreds of casualties and forced them to retreat under Harbiz's pressure. However, Khalid managed to get his cavalry together, arriving
Again, Khalid, man, the master of the flanking maneuver, the oldest trick in the book, and just always showing up at the right time to make things better. Again, Khalid is the MVP of this entire series. The MVP award is always automatically given to him. I'm just stating it out loud now. But, this was a bold move by the Romans, you know. Again, you guys gotta provision your cities now, because, like, you know, because the Muslims are kind of lacking the siege equipment right now. But, you know, I have a feeling that'll change soon, because they seem to adapt really quick.
Arriving to the area of battle shortly after. The numbers were now on the Arab side, and this was enough for the Romans to break off the fight and return to the safety of the walls. The defenders were jubilant, and not at all surprised when the Muslim army gathered to the south and started withdrawing. Harbiz decided that he could score a brilliant victory, and immediately marched out of—
Oh, he's immediately going back out to fight again. I guess so. Like, I'll say that first charge was actually incredibly successful before Khalid showed up. So I guess his mindset is, alright, now that they're all there, I won't expect any, at least I don't think he's expecting another straight up flank. I think he's probably thinking, okay, I can do this, I can win. I don't know if this is a good idea though. Like, I mean, he did have some success, so, but again, maybe the Muslims might be more ready this time. I don't know, I guess we'll find out.
Of the city with the same 5,000. He caught up with the retreating Muslims a few miles to the south.
Okay, but I'm seeing this contingent here move, so I'm wondering if he's about to get attacked from the rear or the side again.
But as soon as his mounted troops started charging, Abu Ubaida's units turned back and attacked. A few minutes later, the Romans were surrounded from all sides. Harbiz was killed, and only a few hundred of—
Wow. Okay, I was right. I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. So, as we can see, he just got, like, most of his 5,000 killed, I'm assuming, from that. Man.
his soldiers escaped. After a short battle, the Arabs returned to the city, and the garrison, which was left leaderless, surrendered.
Wow.
Meanwhile, to the north,
Man, all the enemy commanders get themselves killed so much in this series. Through duels or through battles. Like the Muslim... I've never seen so many commanders and generals get murdered in a series like this one. Like, the Muslims have been just massacring. I'm surprised they even have any generals or commanders left. You know? Just from all the ones who have been killed. But man... That seems to be, the end of the siege. I guess the next battle is the Battle of Yarmouk. And this one seems like it's gonna be a long one. At least I think it will be. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, but I'm gonna have to probably end the video here. Okay, I just looked ahead a bit. Yeah, that's the end of the siege. So, I'll see you guys tomorrow when we cover the Battle of Yarmouk. Bye, everyone.